Akadosh, Erev Tov, we're going to speak about a very interesting concept. Dogs. Is it something good or something not good? Huh? Yeah? Is a dog something good or not something good? Siéntate ahí y que puedes ver con él. Él tiene el hebreo. See? Is it good or not good? So he says, for example, Vayomer Avishai ben Tzruya el Melech. Avishai ben Tzruya comes and he tells the king, Lama yikalel hakelev hamet hazeh et Adoni HaMelech. Why is this dead dog going to come and curse my master, the king? I'm going to take off his head. So when he's coming and he's speaking about kelev hamet, is that something positive? Yeah? Is positivo or no? No. I don't know. Put in something. He doesn't hear a thing.
He doesn't bring it. He always forget.
Fine.
We saw.
Vayomer HaPelishti.
We saw.
The next one.
We saw.
Vayomer HaPelishti. El David. Says the Pelishti to David. Yeah? He says, right? You have it or not? You have it on the, he says over here, I'm going to first give you a few examples and afterwards I'm going to tell you where we are. Yeah? Vayomer HaPelishti, says the Pelishti to David, Hakelev anochi ki ata ba elai mimaklot. This is who? Goliath. Goliath tells David HaMelech, am I a dog that you're coming with I'm coming with a big sword. You're coming with a slingshot and some stones? Am I a dog? What does that mean? The dog is not something positive. It's something negative. Yeah? Also the Torah comes, Lo tavi etzran zona uchid kelev bet Hashem elokecha. Ki toavat Hashem. Even the Mekubalim, they speak about kalbin chatzifim. A kelev chatzuf. Azeh panim. It's a dog. A dog is azut panim. Yeah? Makes sense. Fine? But on the other hand, we see positive things. Where do we see positive things? Number one. Yeah? And Mitzrayim, that's number one on the top right. Ulchol b'nei Yisrael lo yecheratz kelev leshono lemish ve'ad be'ema uleman tedeun asher yafle Adonai ben Mitzrayim uven Yisrael. What does that mean? He comes and he says, you see from here, there was not one dog that barked to Bnei Yisrael. And the fact that there was not one dog that barked, what does Rashi say? Rashi comes and he says in Parashat Mishpatim, Lakelev tashlichun oto, right underwards, we're under where it says, Lakelev tashlichun oto, says Rashi, Afu kekelev oeno ela kelev kebasho, Samun lomar benevela umachol olachi, Kal vachomer, right? He comes to Tifot Shavotet b'chol olachi, then he says, Limedcha kadosh baruch hu, limedcha katuv, the pasuk is teaching you, she'en HaKadosh baruch hu, that HaKadosh baruch hu is not going to be mekapeach schar kol biriyah. Meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving a reward. To who's he giving the reward? He's giving the reward to the dogs. Because since the dogs did not bark during the time of Yetziat Mitzrayim, yeah, they were actually going to be rewarded. What was the reward? So the reward is going to be the what? Basar terefa. Anything that's going to be a terefa, la kelev tashikunoto. Give it to the dog. Why the dog? No, the dog has merits. He kept quiet. Lakelev tashlichun oto. Brings the Gemara. It's a Gemara Psachim. Okay. Next. Somebody said it before. Yeah. Masechet Orayot. Hakelev makir et kono. The dog knows his master. He knows his master. He knows who it is. Makir et kono. What does that mean? The Maharal. Look at the Maharal. You have it over there. Maharal comes and he says, V'zeh shamar shekelev makir et kono. כי התבהל למעלה בפרק הכונס, כי הכלב הוא בעל נפש. Right? ולכך יש בו הכרה, ונקרא בשביל זה כלב שהוא כולו לב. It's a Maharal Miprag. Maharal Miprag comes and he says that the dog is the entire thing, is the neshama, is the entire thing, and therefore he understands. He's very, very, very everything for the master. It was actually, I just remember just a story that somebody showed me recently, that in Toronto, there's a lot of coyotes. Yeah, there's a big, it was in the city. It went and it wanted to attack a girl. And the dog went running against it. Now, the dog was a small little, nothing. The coyote almost went and killed it. It almost killed it completely. but it shooed it away, and it saved the girl. It saved the girl. Now, well, they sent it all over the place. Yeah, but why? Because at the end of the day, what happened was that a kelev makir et kono. The kelev knows, right, his master, and therefore that's why he's called kulo lev. The Ben Yoyada actually comes and he says a few different stories on this. Yeah, the Ben Yoyada comes and he says, look at number Ben Yoyada. You see over there? He says, yeah, he comes and he says this. He says, "Mipnei ma kelev makir et kono, vechatul en makir et kono." He asks, why is it that a dog knows his master, but a cat does not know its master? What's the difference between a dog and a cat? Yeah, makes sense or not? If anything, you would say the cats are much more, the dogs are the ones usually that are much feistier. What's the difference between a dog and a cat? Says the Ben Ishchai, Ben Yoyada. Piresh Rama. Says the Rama, Hai kono de amar hacha, eno rotze lomar boreo, ela rotzeno lomar ba'alav. It doesn't mean it's makiret kono, his master's creator, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It means he understands, right, his owners. Just like it says in a pasuk, Yada shor konehu, v'chamor evus be'alav. It says, there in konehu, what is konehu? He says it's makiret ba'alav ve'olech acharav lechol makom shu olech. Mushamro. Mashenke b'chatul. It's not like that by a chatul. V'ineh hakarat ha'klavim leba'alehem v'tokef ha'chevra ve'ahava shebnehem. Right? Rabu hasipurim ba'hem ve'kulam plaot hem ple'e plaot. Says the Ben Ishchai, it's incredible stories of that. Incredible stories of how you have that the dog is mamash 100%. Yeah? ¿Entiendes? Comes and he says like this, yeah? The Ben Ishchai comes and he says there's an incredible concept which has to do with the different stories, that there's tons of stories. He says, Uvsefer toladot teva, and in the books of nature, yeah, lo ves ahí, en el medio de Ben Yoyada. Yeah, he says in the books of the nature, he comes and he says, Kama sipurim, uvichlal vivi, he also brought down there, Kiasar, there was a minister, right? Oibri, I don't know who this is. He's Yedida Melech, Charles Hamishi. Yeah, I don't know who this is. You would have to look it up actually. Yeah, he says, there was somebody that he was against, right? He hated him, basically. Yeah, right? So he went into the forest in kalbo to his dog. So the other minister that hated him, he ran after him in the forest and he killed him. Yeah, omnam, right? Omnam, כלב הנרצח לא עזב את היער, ולא חדל לנבוח ולזעוק זעקת שבר, עד כי עקף עליו פיהו לשוב פריזה אל בית אחד מאוהבי אדונו, השר הנרצח. The dog didn't leave until he went running to the house of one of the people that was very, very close to him, to his master. ואך אכל שם לסוב אנשו, שב שנית ליערה, he went back. וככה יעשה הכלב ההוא כמה ימים, עד אשר שמו אנשים ליבם, they said, there's something wrong here. Why does the dog keep on going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth?
Thank you, Rabbi, for your invitation.
Yeah, he comes and he says, but why? You understand? So he comes and he says, "Vayimtzeu et gviyat adono hamet b'yad hu." So they found the body there. Meaning the dog kept on there until they realized something's wrong here. They went, they found the body. So what happened?
That was the reason why he was going back and
That's why he was going back and forth, because he wanted to go with his master. ויהי מקץ ימים ויפגוש הכלב ההוא את השר המנצח, בהיותו עומד בין צבא חיל המלך, יזממן לה וחמת רוחו, וינשכהו ומהרו כל הניצבים להבריח הכלב להכתו. אולם לא במהרה הניסו. Right? All of a sudden they came, and the dog saw the minister. He was beside the king. The dog went running and he bit the guy, and he was going to kill him. Yeah, and then what happened? And what happens is, he wasn't able to. Yeah, they weren't able to get him off. So finally, ויהי מהיום ההוא ומעלה, הולך הלך הכלב ההוא לבקש את הורג אדוניו בכל מקום, ויחרוץ לו לשלום ינשכהו. He used to find him and try to bite him. אז החל החשל להתעורר בלבוש אנשים, כי אמרו, people started saying, something's wrong. Why is this dog so adamant to getting this guy? Now, what's going on? So he says, "Uvadai ze asar, yeah, hu asher ratzach," right? Uibri adon hakelev hahu. So he said for sure. ובהשמועה בא אל המלך, and then ויצווה המלך את השר ההוא להתייצב בין אנשי חילו, ונהן אומר, להביא את הכלב ההוא, they said bring him. ויהי בבוא ויבקש את השר המנוצח, וישתעל עליו אחרון אפו, ויאמר המלך השר ההוא, תן תודה, והגד נא מי עשית. Tell me now what did you do. So he went and he says, ויקשה ליבו, he didn't want to do it. ואז חרץ המלך משפטו, וצווהו להילחם עם הכלב, ולכו ויהי נפש מול נפש. He says, you know what? Fine, no problem. You're going to fight against the dog in the middle of the city. You against the dog. Yeah? ובצאת השר ההוא מנצח למלחמה, היה לבוש סיריון ובידו שוט. So he had a big, nice, like he put on a nice armor, and he had the stick. והנה רגעים אחדים התהלך הכלב מסביב בר ריבו, חרץ לשונו ויאמר ככל יליל, נורא. ובפתע פתאום השתעל בסופה ואחז בעורף אויביו בכל תעצמות עוזו, וישליכהו ארצה. He came and he gave such a scream, all of a sudden he jumped, he grabbed the neck of the guy, and he threw him down. There's the dog. Sounds very good, no? He says this is brought, by the way, in the books of the Goyim. This is not brought in our books. It's brought down in the book. He said it. He says, how did he start off? He says, Sefer Toldot HaTeva. Right? The Sefer Toldot HaTeva. There's Ben Ish Chai. כמובן שהגויים למדו את זה ממנו, אבל אני רק אומר לך שהסיפור הזה, right, זה בא משם. So he says, ויתן השר ההוא את קולו בבכי, והתחנן למלטהו מן הכלב האכזרי, מבקש נפשו לשפותיו, יודע על פישו בקלם, and he started admitting it. ואחרי אשר התוודע חטאתו, המיתוהו שמה על פי מאמר המלך לעיני כל העם. They killed him right then and there. Once he already said what he did, boom, they killed him. Right? They killed the minister, the guy that he killed. ויספר עוד סיפורים נפלאים בהכרת הכלבים, לאמונתם באהבת אדוניהם, לנקום נקם מאויבי אדוניהם. That they come and they want to take the vengeance against them. ממש, you know, like it's you understand? Very, very important. Next, the Shlomo Aviner, right on the top left, yeah, למעלה, צד שמאל, גידול כלבים, שאלה, באחרונה שוב התעורר הוויכוח לגבי גידול הכלבים ההפרעה, שהם גורמים לחברי הקבוצה. זכורני שבמשפחתי בגלות, גידול הכלבים היה נחשב מנהג גויים, שאינו נאה ליהודים, ושכלב היה נחשב כבעל חי בזוי, שאין לגדלו בבית. מהי הדרכת התורה בעניין זה? Yeah, so basically the question is, no, what is the Torah's point of view on dogs? Is it good? Hey, it was something very low. It wasn't something that they added. מה באופן כללי היחס לכלבים? Yeah, so he says like this, תשובה. הוא נכון שישנם ביטויים של שלילה ובוז לגבי כלבים במקרא ובדברי חז"ל, כגון שהכלבים הזה נפש, לא ידעו שובע. פסוק in ישעיהו, the כלבים, they're bold, right? They're עזי נפש. Also Goliath, that he says, he comes and he says, כלב אנוכי, הכלב המת, right? ונמשלו הרשעים לכלבים. In Tehillim, it says that the Reshaim are compared to Klavim, to the dogs. HaKlavim sonim ze et ze. Now you understand what happens. The dogs, they love their masters, but they hate each other. They hate each other. Did you ever see when you have two dogs and they come and they start like attacking each other? You watch like each one, they have to like, you know, like, ooh, you have to hold them back. Yeah? He says it here. It's a Gemara Psachim, Kuf Gimel Amud Bet. והמקובלים תבעו לשון כלבים חציפים, הכלב חצוף, והתורה אוסרת עלינו להביא למזבח אף מחיר כלב. זאת אומרת, בעל חיים שקנו אותו על ידי החלפה בכלב. That means if they came and they took a כלב and they switched it for another animal, you cannot take that animal. Let's say a shor, you took an ox, or you took a sheep, and you bought it with a dog. That's called a מחיר כלב. You cannot take that animal to the mizbeach. Think about it. Did you understand that?
No.
One more time. You have a dog. You have a few of them, yeah? You take your dog, and you ask Jean Paul, give me a sheep. I want to take it to the Mizbeach. Here's the dog, give me the sheep. You cannot take the sheep to the Mizbeach. That's called Mechir Kelev. You switched it for a dog. You cannot bring it to the Mizbeach. Even the exchange for a dog, you cannot bring it to the Mizbeach.
Masha and Ken with a horse or something?
Yeah, no problem. Take a horse, buy a sheep, buy a shore, right? Bring it to the Mizbeach, no problem.
Because you wouldn't pay.
Kelev, no. A dog, no. It's called Mechir Kelev. Well, chazir anyway, you cannot bring up to the mizbeach. You're talking about like the chalfa. Even that it doesn't say the tzrum. It says mechir kelev and etnan zona. Etnan zona is that what you pay as zona to go with the zona. So the mechir kelev etnan zona. That's שתי דברים. אבל מחיר כלב. Yeah.
Zona was the salary that you gave him?
Yeah.
The money that
The money that you give it.
Wait, you're not
No, you're paying that money.
Yeah.
You pay money. Yeah. So whatever you spend there, Colombia, no. Yeah. You come, yeah. Ah, okay, fine. So he says number 2. לעומת זאת, he comes. לעומת זאת, on the other hand, ישנם גם ביטויים של הערכה. But there's also positive. Look at the positive. You have יציאת מצרים ולכל בני ישראל. And they said שהם קיבלו שכרם על זה. לגמרא, הוא לא לב. וגם לאויב שהיה צדיק היו כלבים. He says, sorry, ליוב. Right? Yov was a tzaddik. He had klavim. Right? So he comes and he says, אל תדור במקום שלא נובח כלב. Okay, fine. He says, מדי שמתריעים על בואם של אויביהם הגנבים. Fine. So אם כן, לא מצאנו הערכה מוסרית שלילי לגבי גידול כלבים, שאין הדבר הזאת נאה ליהודי, ואז שתהיה כזו, כל המקורות הן המקורות הלכתיים. ברור שהם מגלים את דעתה של תורה, אבל מכיוון שלא גובשו על ידי הפוסקים, right, במתכונת הלכתית, אי אפשר לדלו מהם הדרכות מחויבות. So basically, he wants to say, listen, since you have positives and negatives, we can't give a psak. That's what Rav Shlomo Aviner says. We can't give a psak. Why? Because sometimes in Chazal, they speak very good about them, and sometimes in Chazal, they speak alapanim on them. So what happens? Okay, fine. So now let's start. Obviously, nowadays, in the modern world, everything changed. Right? Why? There's a lot more things. A lot of people, they have the dogs even as pets. Or other people, they have the dogs for bitachon. Other people have the dogs because they're the blind. How do you call the blind dog? Service dogs. You mean that there's all... So now the question is, what happens nowadays? Yeah, what? You're going to tell me yes, no. So we want to find out. So we're going to bring to you something that we just learned in Daf Yomi. On the bottom of page 1. Yeah? Masechet Baba Kama. Mishnah. Baba Kama. We just did in Daf Yomi. Huh? Yeah? En megadlin be'ema daka be'eretz Yisrael. We just learned it in Daf Yomi. Right? We are not going to come and you're not going to grow be'ema daka in Eretz Yisrael. Aval megadlin beSuria. You could do it in Syria. Umidbarot and in the deserts. En megadlin chazirim bechol makom. You can't do the pig. You remember the pig? Why not the pig? Why not the pig, Baba Haki? The pig. Why can't you have a pig? Why can't you grow a pig?
Have a big home.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chazir. So you're going to eat him? No.
what else?
Why did they make a decree that they didn't want a pig? Huh?
למה בישראל כאילו?
Pigs.
כי הם חיים
You remember that we actually brought down
בביזיון.
what happened when did they say arur mi shemegadel pig chazir? When did they make? Bet HaMikdash. You remember that when there was a siege on the walls of the Bet HaMikdash, every single day they used to ma'avir kesef b'tzad hasheni. They used to take money on the other side, and then they used to bring back the korban tamid. There was somebody that was an expert in chokhmah yevanit, and he told them, until you guys are not going to stop this korban tamid, you guys had it. So what did they do? They let them take over the money the next day, and then they gave over a pig back instead of the sheep. And then what happened when the pig got in the middle of the wall? He stuck his nails into the wall, and he's the Eretz Yisrael. There was an earthquake in Eretz Yisrael. Bamel Parsar. So and from then on they said, Arur mi shemegadel chazirim bebeto. Whoa, cursed is the person that brings a pig, and that they grow pigs in their house, or that they teach their son chokhmah yevanit.
But to rain. וזה רק בארץ, לא?
Hear what he said? He's on fire. He's on fire. Huh? He's on fire. He said the only ones that are allowed to learn chokhmah yevanit are the ones which are karov lemalchut, the ones which are close to the government. He's a good
When you say
one.
חוכמת יוונית, מה, פילוסופיה?
It was basically a chokhmah that they used to speak between them sign languages. So therefore, that was the whole thing, which was asur. Because then the Gemara says, are you talking about the Lashon? They used to speak Lashon Yivanit all the time. He said, no, not Lashon Yivanit, Chokhmat Yivanit. Chokhmat Yivanit was asur because there used to be some type of signs, in order, no. Only the ones which were karov lamalchut, that they had to speak to the kings, they were able to do
And
it.
about raising the pig only in Eretz Israel.
Well, here it says bechol makom really. Bechol makom is any place. Yeah, bechol makom. Yeah, but now what does Rashi say? Why are you not allowed to have a dog? Rashi says you're not allowed to have a dog. Lama asu lecha dog? אתה יודע למה? רש"י says, מפני שנושך ומנבח ומפלת אישה מירתו. I skipped out about the dog. Sorry, I only stopped at the pigs. לא יגדל אדם את הכלב. You're not allowed to have a dog unless you're going to tie it with shalshalot. Why? He says because the dog starts biting and barking and a woman has a miscarriage because of it. What was the story that we spoke about today about the miscarriage? Okay, the truth is it's cheating, but we went ahead, but it doesn't matter. But, no? What was the story of the miscarriage?
Come on, guys, that was in the morning.
84, I didn't do.
You didn't do?
No.
Fine. So we brought down that there was a woman that she went and she asked her neighbor, can I use your oven? He said, yes. She went into the house and all of a sudden the dog came rumbling, barking. She all got afraid. He went and said, no, don't worry about it. I took off its teeth, meaning the main canine teeth, the main teeth. I took it off, so don't worry about it. She went and she said, keep your favor. She already had a miscarriage.
Whoa.
Yeah, a woman will have a miscarriage because of that. Listen. By the way, you should know, right? Bar Minan, a lot of things which are going in now on in Eretz Israel with the sirens, same thing. More miscarriages.
Really?
Yeah.
From the scare to the door.
Of course, 100%.
We know.
So look at the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanan lo yigadel adam et hakelev. Page 2, by the way. Yeah, you with me, Yitzchak? Page 2. Aguinadot.
No encontré el perro.
Estabas buscando eso. Okay, fine. Okay, כל הכבוד. Fine. תנו רבנן, לא יגדל אדם את הכלב, אלא אם כן קשור בשלשלות. אבל מגדל הוא בעיר הסמוכה לספר. So therefore, you cannot grow a dog unless it's going, again, יגדל הכלב means that don't have a dog in your possession, unless it's going to be tied up. But you could be מגדל אותו בעיר הסמוכה לספר, if it's going to be close to the border. Why? Because that means a border city. Think about it. Border city. Anybody that lives on the borders, you have to be careful. So that's what the Gemara is telling you. So says the Gemara,
Careful of the dog. They all have dogs.
yeah, for sure they all have dogs, because they have to protect them.
That's right.
It says you tie them up during the day and in the nighttime you let them loose. Tanya Rabbi Eliezer Gadol Omer, Hamgadel klavim kemegadel chazirim. If you grow a dog, you're like growing a chazir. Says the Gemara, what's an afkamina? He says, no, they make a barur. You have a curse. So he says, right? He says like this. He says, Amar Rav Yosef ben Yume. Says Rav Yosef ben Yume. He comes and he says, Amar Rav Nachman, Bavel is like Ira Smucha Sfar. Why? Because I guess there was a lot of danger. So, right? It says, Tirkman Adad, the Dalish of Dustai, they mean, Yadiv Nucho Yom HaShuva Hashem Al-Vot Al Yisrael. Yeah, he comes and he says like this. He says, yeah, Lelamedcha Shen Shechina Shura Al Yisrael. When it says Shuvah, then write Rivavot Alfei Yisrael. What does it mean, Rivavot and Alfei? How much is Rivavot?
Il a pas mangé, moi j'ai pas mangé.
רבבה אחת זה 10,000.
יפה מאוד. רבבות, 20. אלפי, כמה זה אלפי?
רבבות?
No, אלפי. 2,000. So 22,000. רבבות. Yeah, the minimum. 22,000. חסר אחת. One more time. There was 22,000 minus 1. איזה סוף? Laurent, here you have.
C'est quoi, c'est pas un X.
No, one second. Okay. So here it says, Rivavot Alfei Yisrael is 22,000 chaser achat. Says the Gemara, ללמדך שאין השכינה שורה לישראל פחות מ2,000 ושני רבבות חסר אחת. והייתה אישה מעוברת. There was a woman that she was pregnant. And then what happened? He says, וראויה להשלים. It was going to be mashlim, the 22,000. Oh, that's right. Right? It was going to be, right? Al pachom mishna l'chim shel revor chazer achat, v'ayta yisha bo benehem ruya lashlim. V'navach ba kelev. So the kelev came and he was navach. He barked, v'ipila. And she miscarried. V'nimtza ze gorem l'shchina shenisalek m'Yisrael. So the dog caused that the shchina left b'nei Yisrael. Hayi itata, right? So you see. Then this was the second story that we learned this morning. There was a woman that she was went into bake in a friend's house. The dog barked and he said, "No, don't be afraid of him. Shekol nive are the canines. I took away the big teeth." Amrale, she went and she told him, "Shkol tivutech, go take your favor that you did to me." The shadiach is throw it behind me. Kvar nada vlad. The child already moved. That's
Like
it.
this
The
big
child was
storage
going
room.
down.
Don't,
Okay? Fine.
כדי שיקח להם את השקית.
מגדלים כלבים כופרים. Says the Gemara also.
You know Roman?
Yeah, he comes and he says this. The Gemara Mesechet Baba Kama
Give it
comes and he says
one,
also,
two, three.
תתניא, מניין שלא יגדל אדם כלב רע בתוך ביתו של אדם. How do you know you're not supposed to have a bad dog in your house? Right? ואל יעמיד סולם נוע, and don't have a bad ladder. So imagine we have a ladder here all of a sudden, and it's a bad ladder, meaning somebody goes on it, could fall. How do you know you're not allowed to do that? It says in the pasuk, "Lo tasim damim v'techa." Don't put blood in your house. Imagine you put a ladder, you go on the ladder, and it's going to fall. So if you're going to, somebody goes up, that's also sinning. He said a gun. A gun, the same thing. A gun is like the bad ladder. You understood?
No,
כל מסולם.
to lock it.
What? Yeah, same thing. You have to lock it.
גדול
100%.
כדבר מסודר. 3 חודשים או כולו.
Right? You understood or not? The Gemara Mesechet Shabbat says, somebody kol megadel reshakish, kol megadel kelev ra. Anybody that has a bad dog, right? Betoch beto monea chesed mitoch beto. You're stopping having chesed in your house.
No way.
Why are you stopping? If you have a bad dog in your house, you're stopping chesed from your house.
Wow.
It brings a pasuk. Why? Because basically what happened is that it's causing to stop, right? It's causing to stop.
Him on, yeah.
He comes and he says, yeah, he comes and he says this. He says, because what happens is that he comes and he says, why? Because at the end of the day, right, he's stopping people from coming to the house, right? He's coming, he's coming and he says that because basically people are going to stop coming to your house. If people know that you have a dog, you come close, they start barking. You think they're going to come to your house to ask you for a favor?
No.
To stay at your house, for tzedakah, for what? No. So what happens? Right? It's going to be a problem. Yeah? So he says, Afa porek mimenu. He says,
I went to see a fashion in Marseille when I was doing so.
it says, not only does it stop chesed, porek mimenu yirat shamayim. It takes away from a person yirat shamayim.
It's a regular dog or a bad dog?
Bad, Chazak Baruch. Lahmi, yeah, that comes from Bita Lahmi. That's what we mentioned on Friday night, right? That's why he has to come here more often. Yeah, he comes and he actually made a beautiful diuk. He said that the other Gemarot, nobody ever spoke about a Kelev Ra. Here, these two Gemarot are talking about a Kelev Ra. Meaning, you're right, a bad dog, 100%. That's what he says. Kamuvan, here it says here it says Kelev Ra. No, exactly. The other Gemarot just said Kelev, but it said good about Kelev and bad about Kelev. But here when it says Lo tasim damim bevetecha, Kelev Ra. When it says Kol megadel Kelev Ra monea chesed mitoch beto, Av porek mimenu yachai, that's everything's Kelev Ra. One second.
Tamim Muad is only for the shore.
Only for the shore. No, there's certain type of dogs. You have to train it. You understand? You have to train it. So the truth is also, right, that the Gemara Metzi actually says there's another
Your
reason.
wife give me to the Mercedes.
Yeah, he comes and he says this. Yeah, he says there's another reason brought down. There's another reason brought down in Bab Metzia. Yeah, yeah. He says there's another Gemara Masech Bab Metzia. Another reason why you're not supposed to have a dog. What is the reason? Look in Bab Metzia, Ayin Aleph, page 3 on the top. Armelata lo tarbe kalba. What's an armelata? Almana. An almana should not have a kalba, a dog. Says Rashi, lo tarbe kalba, lo tegadel kelev, shema tekalkelimo. Maybe she's going to have relations with him. Tosfot says, lo tarbe kalba, mishum lazut sfatayim be'alma. Lefi sheolech achareh, because since the dog always runs after her, people might start talking. They might start talking. people are going to start talking when they see a dog always with the almanah and they see that the dog's always, like with her. So therefore, it could actually cause a lot of problems. Argued on Rashi, and he says it's not because Be'emet she's going to do the Avirah with him, but since the dog is always running after her, people are going to talk. People are going to say it, even though it didn't happen. But why? I'm not going to suspect that she actually does such a thing. Meaning the Jews, we're not going to suspect them, but even Tosafot still says, יש את הלעז. מה זה לעז? זאת אומרת, אנשים מדברים, אני לא רוצה אנשים מדברים. אפילו אני לא חושש שבאמת זה יקרה. לא משנה. No, זה מראית-עין. Yeah, you do מראית-עין.
No, pero Maritain es cuando se
one second. No. One second. וכדבריו זה גם כן גמרא בעבודה זרה. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah comes the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. It's not here. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah also says, Shema titaveh v'tarbienu alea. Right? It's mamash, Shema titaveh. Mamash, she's going to have a desire. And this is what's going to happen. Fine. Let's see the Rambam. The Rambam comes in Ilchot Niske Mamon. And the Rambam says, V'chen asru chachamim legadel chazirim bechol makom, velo et hakelev, ela im ken kashur b'shalshelet. So he says, chazir and the kelev. Chazir, bechol makom, and the kelev only if it's going to be tied up. If it's tied up, then it's okay. Okay? But megadelu klavim ba'ir esmucha lesraba. You could do it on the border cities. On Gaza cities, you're allowed to. Right? And then he says, and the amru chachamim arur megadel klavim v'chazirim. Mipnei shezekam merubah matzur, because they have a lot of hezek. It does a lot of damages. No, the chazir was a lot of hezek there. That was what they did. It's tum'ah and all those things. It's marbet tum'ah and all those things. Okay? Fine. Doesn't matter. It still is a lot of hezek. Balacha zo, the Rambam did not differentiate between kelev tov and kelev ra. Meaning the Rambam just brought down kelev. He didn't say good dog, bad dog, nothing. But what about in Ilchot Rotzeach? In Ilchot Rotzeach, the Rambam comes and he says, Echad gag, וכן כל מכשול שיש בו סכנה נפשות מצווה להסירו, to take it off. It says, שם נחב שום נפשך מאוד, right? He says, וכן מכשול שיש סכנה נפשות מצווה תעשה להסירו, זה רבי דבר ממנו שם יפה. Right? And anything which comes, he's going to לא תשים דמים ותך. Here, do you realize the Rambam did not bring down the kelef? Meaning, we brought down the Gemara of the ladder, or anything which is dangerous. Right? The ladder or anything which is dangerous, don't keep it in your house. Lo tasim damim v'techa. Don't put blood in your house. There, the Gemara said, a kelevra. The Rambam here does not bring down kelevra. He doesn't bring down anything. He doesn't bring down the dog at all, which is very weird. Why is he not bringing down the dog? So who brings it down? The God Mimniot. The God Mimniot comes and it says, he says, velo yigadel kelevra betoch beto, aval kelev she'eno ra mutar legadel. Right? He says, right, Kelev, why? The proof is from the Almanah. Why? Because if by the Almanah you said the only reason why you're an Almanah is not allowed to have it, because of the suspicion, mashma, if it's not an Almanah, you're allowed to have a dog. So if you see from here, it says the Galtmoniot, when the Gemara brought down that you're not allowed to have a Kelev, it's a Kelev Ra.
Yeah.
But a good dog,
Yeah,
no problem.
You're
You're allowed to have it. That's what the Galtmoniot actually learns. You're allowed to have it. What about the Shulchan Aruch? So the Shulchan Aruch comes and Niske Mamon brings down the Rambam. He says, Asur legadel kelev ra. Maran, here, is it? You're not allowed to have a kelev ra, a bad dog you're not allowed to have. Okay? The Rama brings down a Gaut el-Fasi, right? And he comes and he says, V'yesh omrim dahashta shana shurim ben ha'akum ve'umot bechol inyan shari. Right? Upuk chazi mayama davar. Nowadays that we're living against, with the goyim, you're always allowed to have a dog. Yeah, you're allowed to have a dog. Right? However, though, if it's a kelev ra, then no. Yeah? So, one second. All of a sudden now it comes out that you're allowed to have it. That's what's coming out. You're allowed to have a dog. What's going on? So, Lalacha, on page 4, the Marshal comes and he brings down in the Sefer Yam Shel Shlomo, he brings down that there's no heter legadel kelev which barks, right? Unless it's going to be tied down and everything. Why? Because it causes women to have miscarriages. However, though the Shut Shelat Yavet says it's asur lechalutin ligadel klavim, right? Vechol sakanta lechumra, meaning that it's mamash, it's like a sakana, and therefore you shouldn't have it, right? In the the Tshuvat Shevet Alevi says, right, that there's stadim shasur lachziko bli shalshelet. right? That there's actually going to be a lot of different stadim that it should be a sur to actually have it. This is Ravozno. You see it over here. It says over here, "Aval לעניין להחזיקו, שיש צדדים שאסור להחזיקו." So he says you shouldn't do it. Okay, fine. Okay. So now we're going to put it on pause, which means that it's not that simple, right? It does sound that you could have it on a leash always, and then there's no problem, right? But if it's always barking, it's another thing. But the person has to be careful. Okay, so a person has to be careful, even though we didn't finish it. Now we're going to go to the service dog. I'm going to ask you a question. A person that's blind, yeah, he needs a service dog. Can he come to the Bet Knesset with the dog?
Yes.
Oh.
And you what?
Can he come to the Bet Knesset with the
I
dog?
never see someone coming with
No,
the dog,
The,
but
the thing is, on Shabbat, you're not allowed to enter.
We're going to
What?
speak about. The doctor is always a step ahead. The doctor is always a
Il
step
faut
ahead.
communier.
Ah, that's why.
Pas le droit d'avoir un chien en laisse, c'est pas mal.
Yeah, the doctor spoke about muktzeh on Shabbat. We're going to speak about that as well. Muktzeh.
And to catch an animal.
Because technically speaking, the dog is an animal. An animal is muktzeh on Shabbat. So how are you able to come and walk the dog, take the
Il y en a
dog?
qui demandent riche.
Yeah, what are you going to
I
do?
have this problem one time in Sukkah. Came a guest and bring a dog. So
He comes and he says like this. Yeah, he comes and he says, like this. He says, Rav Moshe Feinstein had the question, right, about what about are you allowed to have a dog, right, or not? Are you allowed to come and bring this dog for the person that's blind? He needs it. So are you allowed to bring it? So obviously there's going to be a lot of questions about also halacha, non-halacha, but let's just start. So in page 5, right, there's going to be a Shut Igrot Moshe. And the Shut Igrot Moshe comes and it says, let me see here. It's too big. That's a Shevet Tel Aviv. Sorry, page 6. There it is. That's why I'm looking. I'm saying there's none here. Page 6. Binyan Suma. שהרגילו כלב לא ליחו אם יכול להיכנס לבית הכנסת תפילה. So basically you have a blind person. And the dog always takes him. So can he take him inside the tefillah? So he comes and he says, right, at the beginning to do the suma, he comes and he says, יש בזה ביזיון להיכנס, להכניס בעל חי לבית הכנסת שהוא מקדש מעט. He comes and he says at the beginning, he says, listen, for me, באמת, it sounds like a bizayon. What, you're going to bring a dog into the Bet Knesset? Yeah, so then he says, but look in the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi there actually comes and it says that there was, he comes and he brings down the Yerushalmi. That the Yerushalmi comes and it says over there, Barnash melachlech beoraita, meaning a person that wants to come and learn, right? Meaning, if a person already wants to come and learn, bring him in with a hamor. Bring him in with a hamor. Says why? He says, don't come and say that it's a sur bigal bizayon. Why? He's like a talmid chacham. Now the truth is, it's a Yerushalmi that says it. Rav Moshe Feinstein brings this down. Now the truth is, though, something incredible. Right? I don't know if you actually realize you can learn this musar when already you're getting a guy to come in to learn Torah. Tell him to bring his chomriut inside. Meaning, somebody once told me, Rabbi, why do we need a good cholent? Yeah, why do we need food? Leave the food outside, right? Come to learn, only learn. No, you'll never say to learn. Yeah, notice it. Bring the chomriut, bring the hamor inside also as well. Bring him in. Like what? So here, but the Moshe Feinstein wanted to learn. 1 second, if it's written like that, so therefore, it says that Moshe Feinstein should be permitted to bring in, right? To bring in the dog, right, into the Bet Knesset, to pray, to create the Torah. But it's better that he should be by the entrance. Why? Lo levalbel et hatzibur. Look on the right side. It says Hitab Yerushalmi, right? This is Yerushalmi, Barnash, and that. Batem midrashot lechachamim tomidinehem. So he says Tamid Chocham mutar litachsem Bet Knesset. So he says Vekevan shehu rak achila ushtiya. It should be fine because you're making it like on condition, and therefore tzorich mitzvah ktzat. Listen, maybe it's for mitzvah. And then it says v'lachen kevan shebet knesset chamur, right? Since he says shebachnasat chamor chazina shelo gara. If you bring in a donkey and it's not worse than any eating and drinking, so then you should also be matid on this, right? Obviously, what's the problem? A dog is no worse than a chamor, right? But then he just says, listen, on the left side, v'gam yishalu laila kabizayon klal v'kalut rosh, it's tzorch tefillah. He says, you know what? Just do it on the side. Right? Go on the side of it and don't make so much noise. That's who? The Moshe Feinstein. However, though, there's a sefer which is called Rav Yaakov Reish that he comes and he brings down a whole bunch of other poskim, and they all argue, right, on Rav Moshe Feinstein. They come and they say that, first of all, right, to do with the entire concept of the Yerushalmi, right, over there we were seeing that a Bet Knesset and Bet Midrash is not the same thing. A Bet Knesset is worse than a Bet Midrash, because a Bet Midrash was to learn and not only to pray. Bet Knesset was a decorum, more of a decorum. Why? Because you come, you pray, and you go. A Bet Midrash, you stay, you learn, you eat, you drink. It's a little bit different. It's not like a synagogue. It's more about, it's a Bet Midrash. It's a little bit different. That's number one. Number two, the Yerushalmi is talking about, you got nowhere to stay. You're coming from out of town, and you're coming to stay. So he says, okay, they used to sleep in the synagogues. The synagogue was like one of these places, like an inn. Anybody that came, they didn't have a place where to stay. They would go to the synagogue.
Yeah.
So he says, but during the time of the tefillah, he comes and he says, during the time of the tefillah, he says, you're going to bother them from doing tefillah. He says, like the Rama says, Siman Tzadik, don't pray when somebody has a lot of different clothing. Some people come inside here and they have this big, whether it's, I don't know what, or all these things.
Nike.
Nike is a good one. Nike is a good one. It's just some thing. No, we're talking about other things. He said, I'm being recorded. I have to be careful. Yeah, he said, doesn't mean that, like people are looking, they're looking at a shirt more than they're looking at the tefillah. You understand? So says the Rama, don't do that. Why? It's going to take off your concentration. So he says there's no bigger kavanah that in the middle of Bet Knesset, you can have a hamor or a kelev. You can have a dog or a kelev. What's going on over here? Yeah? So he says, and also according to the Chelkat Yaakov, he says the pshat there, that when it says ul chamre, it doesn't mean the chamor. It means a hamar. What's a hamar? Exactly.
What?
The donkey driver, not the donkey. We're talking about the donkey driver, the hamar, like a gamal and gamal. It all depends on you spell it with two kamats or the kamats and patach. Is it the donkey or the camel driver? Or the donkey and the donkey driver? So he says, so therefore it's nothing to do with it. Right? And then he comes and he says, the Chelkat Yaakov. Listen to these words. The Chelkat Yaakov comes and he says, Zayikar etzli, that there's a lot of hefkerut, and there's going to be the Yadut is very light. Judaism is very, very light. You have these people that are very low. They go with their dogs everywhere. They go with their dogs everywhere. It's not the real Jewish, it's not there. And then he says, there's a huge chilul Hashem. He says, why? How does it make sense that the goyim, the church, you're not going to be able to bring in a dog? But you're going to say that a synagogue, you could bring in a dog? You understand? The biggest chilul Hashem. So they come and they say,
It's for the blind people.
even with that. So then he comes and he says, look in the Sefer on page 7. He comes and he brings down, right? He comes and he brings down the Sharei Halacha Minhag. Yeah, he comes and he says, ואין ללמוד איסורים מענייני דרוש, הרי זוהי גם ראיה שאין איסור בהבאת כלב בבית הכנסת. Right? He wants to come and he say that really באמת, maybe it's mutar. Yeah, that's what he wants to say. And there's a Yalkut Yosef. Yalkut Yosef is page 8. Right? עיוור הרגיל ללכת עם כלב הנחיה מוליכו במקום למקום, אין לו להכניס את הכלב בבית הכנסת. So you shouldn't take him in. Right? וכל שכן בשעת התפילה ולימוד. אלא אם יש לו בית הכנסת קבוע שהוא מתפלל שם, יקבעו לו איזה עמוד או מוט מחוץ לבית הכנסת, כדי שיוכל לקשור את המוט עד החלב. Basically, you tie the dog outside the synagogue, and you go inside.
Outside of this.
Yeah, right outside, but outside. In the like in the patio, but not inside. That's the Yalkut Yosef.
There is no patio.
You have downstairs.
What? No, at Cafe Vert.
Cafe Vert, exactly. You have Cafe Vert. You have the courtyard.
People in the store.
Yeah, we don't have courtyard inside the dog. Where are you gonna put it? The lobby?
I don't know. That's what he says. And the truth is that one second. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Just get on it.
Yeah.
He's the manager there. He's the one who runs it.
Yeah.
You can approach the street from the people.
But
With Shlomo,
Right.
we can have all the permit we want.
100%. You-
200% otherwise.